Hello, good evening, and welcome to Shocker Family Parent Connections. My name is Alicia Newell, and I have the privilege of serving as the Assistant Vice President for Student Affairs. And with me this evening is Ms. Kimberly Sandlin.
Hello, I'm Kim Sandlin. Serve as the Director of Student Success, and typically the two of us are partners in crime. So Alicia helps me out with my programs, and I help her out with hers. So it's nice to see all of you virtually, parents who are joining us tonight. It's great to be here.
So tonight's topic, we're talking about academic advising and student success. And so we're going to talk a little bit about what your students should be doing at this point in their journey, and then some things to help them as they move forward in regards to final exams. And so this week, enrollment and registration opened up. And so as you begin to talk with your students, it's a really great time to ask them, have you registered for classes yet for this next term? A lot of times students will have already met with their academic advisor and have created a plan for their success of what the classes will look like for this semester and potential future semesters. If they've not done so, or if they have questions, they can schedule an appointment to meet with their advisor. All advising appointments at this time are being done virtually. And so M's going to put up the advising website there, which is wichita.edu/advising, particularly for our first year students. Our first year students are still meeting with their first year advisor. And the spring semester is where first year students will transition to their academic advisor within their college. I know sometimes I've had a couple parents who've asked questions, well, which advisor does my student have to meet with? They will still meet with their first year advisor. The only difference is that this semester, your student will be registering on their own. When your student started, we actually registered the students. We registered for the students. And so this semester, the advisor has given them step-by-step instructions on how to do that themselves in their portal. A really good thing, questions to ask your students in relation to academic advising and really just in general their classes this semester is, how did your class and courses work for you? We have some students who really struggled with those 8 a.m. classes, and that was something that was really hard for them. And so if the time frame didn't work for your students, letting them know that they are in control and that they're able to change those schedules at any time to what works best for them. In addition, an academic advisor is going to give them a recommended amount of classes and hours to take. Kim and I we like to go with this thing 30 or 15 each semester, whichever it is. If your student is not comfortable with taking 15 credit hours, 12 hours is considered full time. And so if that means they take 12 hours this semester and maybe one in the summer to catch up, that's fine. As long as they are successful in those courses, that's what matters most. And so make sure that you're having those conversations with them and letting them know that it's okay to push back with their academic advisor and go at their own pace and rate. The other thing is that a lot of times come registration, students may not understand or really know what they want to major in. They still may be a little uncertain of the courses they want to take. And a really good piece of advice is making sure they're having conversations with the advisor about major exploration. In addition, working with our Office of Career Development, and they can definitely help guide them in that area as well. Kim, is there anything else that you would like to share in relation to academic advising? We can get into the different types of advisors. We got a lot.
Yeah. We do have a lot. So good segue. So if you are a parent of a brand new traditional freshman, as Alicia said, you are going to be meeting with, or your student should have already, quite frankly, had their academic advisor meeting with their first year advisor. So this will be the last time that they see their first year advisor. They will transition into their college academic advising, whether they have a center or faculty advising or whatever that looks like for each college, which is different by college. They will be transitioning into those college advisors for future semesters. But right now, we are right in the middle of enrollment for traditional, well, for everyone, but the traditional freshmen will have that required advising appointment with that first year advisor for the spring semester. If you are a parent of a continuing student or a transfer student, they will continue seeing an advisor or will see an advisor for the first time in the academic college that houses their major. So if you have questions about that, where they go, what their hours are, when they schedule appointments, go to that website, which is that wichita.edu/advising, and that will direct you to the correct place. It'll ask you, are you a brand new freshman? Are you a transfer? Are you continuing? And depending on your answer, it will then guide you to the correct advising location. Now, those college advisors, academic advisors, give you your students really good insight into staying on track for degrees. They can do a little bit of major exploration with your student if they're undecided or kind of questioning, like Alicia was talking about, which is completely normal. And as a parent, be ready to have some interesting conversations potentially with your student if they're returning home with, not sure I like this major. Hey, I'm thinking about changing my major. This is the time of year that typically may be happening. So when your student, again, if you're a parent of a traditional freshman, when your student's coming home for the holidays or moving back to, for the break, staying at home for the break, be prepared to have some of those conversations and remain open and supportive for your student, because a lot of times they feel pressure from their family, from maybe their high school friends. There's a little bit of, anxiety, I think, that some students feel when they return home for the holidays, and having that, hey guys, I kind of hate my major. And I know we talked about me being, a doctor, but turns out I don't like it. Right. So be prepared for some of that. And again, I mean, you got, as much as your heart wants them to be a doctor or an engineer or whatever, they may come home and say, you know what? I want to play the trumpet. I love it. I played in the band. I played in the band. You came to all my concerts. This is what I want to do. So really, really, again, be open to that conversation, right? So your students should be enrolled by the time. They don't have to be. They should be enrolled by the time that they return home for break or from break, right? Or return home from school for break, right? That's what I mean to say. So, talk with your student. Hey, what's your class load look like next semester? Are you on track? This is also a great time to have a conversation. If your student withdrew from a class or maybe withdrew from multiple classes, this is a great time to have a conversation with them about, okay, we are where we are, and what can we do to kind of pace yourself for the rest of the academic year and how many classes you're taking. So what I mean by that is if your student dropped a class in the fall semester, this semester, and it's offered as a pre-session, which is a part of the term for spring, a pre-session, potentially they might want to enroll in that class and just focus on that class for that kind of intense 2 or 4 week period. This pre-session is in January. We have extended that pre-session time to allow students more flexibility in scheduling, so that if they need to pick up a class that they withdrew from, if they want to spread out their full-time semester and have a 4-week class and then only have 3 more or 4 more for the rest of that spring semester, all kinds of ways that students can make up maybe credit hours. Maybe they want to work on GPA as well. A pre-session is an opportunity to do that. Now, what you need to know about a pre-session is that it's a much shorter time period. And so all of that instruction that would normally happen during a 16-week semester is now happening in 2 weeks or 4 weeks. Okay, so that means it's a little more intense. The classes typically meet longer, so that may be more, prolonged Zoom meetings if they're meeting synchronously, or perhaps it's asynchronous, but they only have 2 weeks or they only have 4 weeks to really complete that class successfully. So it's a possibility. It's not the right decision for everybody, but it's a possibility for some who excel at remote learning in particular. So consider those kinds of things. Those are all discussions that your students should be having with advisors with your students, and getting ready for the spring. So I think we have a question. Alicia, I don't know if you want to take that question, and then I'll come back in and talk a little bit more about the spring course design plans and things like that. So go for it.
And so, great question, Shelley. With COVID, our students are definitely adjusting. It's a huge adjustment, especially for those who have not taken online classes before. And so if your student is struggling, first and foremost, we're going to encourage them to reach out to their professors and ask for help and guidance in the course. After all, the instructor is the best person to work with the student because they know exactly where it is that they're needing support in the class. If it's more emotional and physical mental health related, maybe they're feeling more overwhelmed or anxious, definitely encourage them to get in contact with the care team. They can submit a report on their own. You as a parent can submit a report, and that's wichita.edu/care. This report will go directly to me and my team. And we'll reach out to your student and we'll provide whatever support it is that we can provide. Also, Kim's group, they have academic success coaches in their college. And so if the student's, needing help with time management or some other things, Kim can probably add a little bit more to this, where they can reach out to their success coach and talk a little bit more about some of those things. There's also tutoring that Kim's going to talk about here shortly. And so there are a ton of resources that are available to your student. It's just making sure that they're getting connected with the right offices and individuals that can help them. And so if you put in that care report or have them reach out to either Kim or I later today, shoot us an email. We're more than happy to consider us on standby. We're here to help.
Yeah, I would add to that as well. I think a lot of students were challenged by some changes that happened, and I don't know if this may be what you're getting at, Shelley. Changes that happened, they thought it was going to be in person or more in person, and it ended up being more online, or the reverse could be true as well. So we have definitely gotten that feedback from students. And I can tell you, we have definitely talked about it in a lot of our meetings where we call them reintegration meetings, but meetings where we're talking about how are we responding and supporting students in the midst of COVID, right? So there is a great website, just like there was for fall, it's now for spring. So wichita.edu/spring 2021. And that will give you a lot of breakdown, much more detailed as far as what percentage of the class is going to be in person, what percentage of the class is going to be online, or at least I think there are targets. So over 50% of the class will be online, or over 75% of the class will be online. And I can tell you that our academic leadership has asked our faculty to not change that. Once they have indicated how much of their class is going to be online and how much of their class is going to be in person, they are asked not to deviate from that plan. Because we have heard feedback from students that, hey, I thought this was going to be something else, and my professor changed it. And this is the first semester we've ever been in this situation, right? So I think students were challenged. I think faculty were challenged as well. And, not rightfully so, but of course they would be, right? We've never had to deal with this kind of change and that, in the classroom. So on that website, there are 3 buttons. Sorry, I'm looking over here at my other screen. Course codes explained. So we break down, I believe this one has a video, breaking down the difference between hybrid online, synchronous, asynchronous, what it all means. And there are different things that we have on the university's end to assign codes to these classes. Some of that information the student sees, some of it they don't, but their advisor is the one who can explain all of this to them. So this should give them a better idea of how the faculty member is going to be instructing that course. There's also the spring academic calendar. And if you click on the spring academic calendar, there's a student guide on what students can expect for the spring semester. There's a lot of information there as far as the academic challenge or the academic changes. So again, delayed start, normal finish. But what does that actually mean? Okay, so we're starting late. Okay, we're ending on time. But what that means is that even in the normal semester, in the normal spring semester, when the normal term starts February 1st, they will have 14 weeks of instruction plus finals week. A typical semester is 16 weeks plus finals week. So those professors are putting 16 weeks of content in 14 weeks. So right out of the gate, there will be more times, we're all assuming, right? There will be more times when there's more intensity and more intense work, maybe a couple of papers that are right near each other, maybe a couple of quiz and then an exam that are closer together. So students should start planning for this. It will outline that the entire semester on that website. There is no spring break. That I think is pretty common. We're seeing that across the country. Starting later, ending at the same time, no spring break, right? So we make up a week of instruction because we're not going to be gone for spring break, but yet we start 2 weeks later. But then we have this January pre-session. So it's all kind of a jumble. And what the university is trying to do is to make as much information available up front ahead of time so that you all can plan for that, but to also kind of map that out a little bit. So January is all remote, January is all pre-session, February 1st starts the regular term, and then we end at the same time. So
I think you hit on something really important, Kim. And this also kind of goes to Shali's question of it being more emotional related in regards to, because we're having to revamp the time frame in classes that students are in class, we're removing some of those breaks. And so where students would have had fall break next semester, they would have had spring break. This is time where students are feeling extremely overwhelmed because those breaks aren't in there. They may not have been able to travel home to see family. We're asking students to social distance and to there's not a lot of in-person activities on campus right now because we are in a pandemic. And so that need and longing for social and human connection is missing. And so we're seeing a lot of students who are getting depressed. There's a lot of anxiety. There's a lot of issues of the unknown, grieving for various reasons. If your student is a first-year student, they're grieving the loss still of not getting to have prom. Their graduation may have looked different. their first semester of college isn't going the way that they had dreamt or anticipated it to be. And so making sure that you're having those conversations of, how are you feeling? It's okay to not be okay, but let's talk about that and let's get you help. Our counseling and prevention services on campus does a phenomenal job of connecting with students and talking about not only where they're at emotionally, but how we can make sure that we're looking at ways in which they can be proactive in monitoring their mental and emotional health. And working, again, we put the website up for Care Team, working with one of our case managers on campus. If it's just, hey, I need a weekly check-in, I need an accountability partner, I need someone to kind of hold my hand for a while until I feel okay, knowing that they don't have to go through this journey alone because they're struggling, whether that's finding their tribe of friends that they've not found yet, because they're a lot of the activities that we would have provided may not exist in the normal manner. And so they're virtually, but it's kind of hard to meet people in a virtual setting. And so make sure that your student gets connected with us so that we can help provide support where needed. Kim, do you want to come back in and talk a little bit about student success and what you guys have planned in helping students with final exams and just moving forward? And also about success coaches, because I think they're kind of really a hidden gem within the university, and how awesome they are when students really take advantage of the success coaches within your area.
Sure. I feel like in a number of these episodes, as we call them, maybe, or programs, we've talked about success coaches, but they are getting used more and more and more. And we got our new success coach on, started with us last week. So we are 100% covered in all of our academic colleges. So if you go to wichita.edu/success, in the middle of the picture, there's a little part on the side. It says connect with your success coach, and it'll have a list of all of them and their contact information. And so those coaches are really there for your students. It doesn't matter if they are new to campus, if they are continuing, if they are freshmen, if they're senior. They see graduate students, they see everyone. And the purpose really for them is very similar to the care team, although they are not necessarily there for the crisis piece of it. That's definitely more in the care team's court there. But if your student is struggling with class content, understanding how to approach their professor or instructor, maybe they don't know how to handle a certain situation that's come up in class, and they need a little bit of help on kind of navigating that. They don't want to come across as, I don't want to be the dumb kid in class. I don't want to sound stupid. That's what we hear a lot, right? I don't want to ask a question because then I look like I don't know what's happening, but guarantee 20 other kids have that same question, right? So those coaches can really help the students navigate that process. They've done a lot of bridge building and bridge crossing between students and faculty this semester, both ways. Sometimes the faculty will reach out and say, I'm not sure what's going on with the student in my class. Can you reach out to them? And absolutely, they will do that on behalf of the instructor, on behalf of an advisor. We have a really close relationship with the academic advising units, with our department chairs in each college. And so if your student has trouble with the technology in class, or I don't know how to do a group project over Zoom, help me through that process, whatever academic experience they're having. And if they're struggling with those experiences, their coaches can help them out. Sometimes it's a one time, come in, talk to your coach, you're good, right? Other times it's a weekly check-in. And sometimes that's as easy as, they might text their student and say, hey, how are you doing today? How you feeling? Do you need to meet? Do you not need to meet? It's up to you. I'm open till 10, whatever that may be. And it could be a quick text message back and forth between your student and the coach. It could be an hour-long session between the student and the coach. And sometimes it's just nice that there's a place where you can go, not be judged, not be, no assumptions are made, no judgments are made. Students come in and can really, or log in right these days, and can have an honest conversation. The coaches are not, one of the good things is the coaches are not part of the academic college. They serve the college. So they're part of the Office of Student Success, and our goal is to help them reach their goals. So if they're coming in, say, I'm picking on engineering tonight for some reason. If they come in as an engineering major and they're like, this is not my gig, this is not something that is working out for me, they can have that conversation. And they can have the context of all of, what happens in engineering and around engineering and with engineering, but they are really a kind of neutral party. And they can have the conversation of, what, if this is not your fit, let's find someplace that is. And they can actually work with a coach in another college to kind of transition that student into their new major, into their new college, and make that a smooth transition. It doesn't matter what your student's major is. We've got a coach that can meet with them and help them out. It's kind of like a big brother, big sister on campus. They're all female, so they'd be big sisters, but when you don't know where to go, right? One stop are the moms on campus. Success coaches are the big sisters, I guess, if you want to keep it in the family. So they can really help you with anything. The other piece of that is they can connect you. They've had plenty of experience in figuring out if your student may need and benefit from counseling, may need some extra mental health support, or just need, and I don't say just, but or need study skills help. They can help them with study skills. They can help them with time management. That's the biggest one that we always get faced with. Helping students plan and manage their time. That's the biggest hurdle. Oftentimes it's not problem with the content and problem academically. It's that they can't organize themselves and commit to a structure when nothing is structured anymore, right? So lots of good stuff that the coaches can help with. So it doesn't matter if it's academic, social, mental health, those kinds of things. For finals week, I want to, Alicia, did you have something that you wanted to come in? Sorry.
Yeah, no, I think that was phenomenal, great information. I think the one thing that we see the most, and Kim and I will definitely agree on this, is that students will know that these resources exist. They are terrified to take that first step. And so just reminding them, and that's really what these sessions are all about. How can we partner with you, the parents, to help us help you help your students succeed? By reinforcing some of this information and what we're sharing today, definitely will help when either we're reaching out to try to get in touch with them, encouraging them to connect with us, because we don't want them to struggle alone. And like Kim said, let us determine, is this really a crisis? Is this really, and maybe it's just stress. And a lot of times students come to a four-year university and they have no idea how to study. They don't know the difference between studying and doing homework and realizing it's two separate things, right? Or high school was a breeze for them, and they didn't have to study as much as they do now because they're having to do so much of the learning and reading on their own outside of class. And so it's a good way just to kind of, check in. I like to say it's like checking in with your doctor. Check in with a success coach, check in with care team, let us do a tune-up and help get you to where you need to be. And so great advice, Kim, all on point. So I'll throw it back over to you.
Sure. The other thing is, you made me think about this, Alicia. sometimes our success coaches will do some proactive outreach to students. And so if, for instance, maybe your student didn't have the best semester, they might get an email from a success coach and saying, hey, this is who I am. This is what I do. If you want to meet, cool. If you don't, cool. And it's completely up to the student. They try to be as non-threatening, right, as possible. And we try to make it easy. They don't even have to talk to anybody. They just click the blue link in the email, boom, choose your day, choose your time, you're set up, right? So we really try to, with some of that. Now, I'm not saying every single student is going to be in what we call a campaign, right, a proactive outreach to our students. But many of our students are. And if your student is referred and working with a coach, and say they just don't show up, like they were coming, but then they don't, and that's not like them, the coaches will reach out and just say, hey, it's cool if you don't want to meet. Just email me and let me know you're okay. Right? We do that a lot with the referrals that we get from faculty. Maybe the faculty recognize that something is different with the student. There's a change in some kind of behavior. And so they'll say, can you reach out to the student? And we reach out and we don't hear anything. And we'll try a phone call or a text message maybe to reach out. And then we just say, just let us know you're okay. And then we're good, right? And they're not trying to be intrusive. This is not a punitive kind of thing. It's really that we want to make sure that students, especially our first gen students who are in their second year, who are maybe a little lost and don't quite know where to go or where their path is, right? So we do some of that, and we just want to make sure that they know that we're here in case they need us. So lots of proactive outreach that goes on. If your students, some of the rest of the things that we do, if your students enroll for classes for spring and they think they're going to need some kind of tutoring for that class, don't forget, we offer free tutoring, lots of great free tutoring. If you're a student's an engineer, Geeks is available for them. If your student is in a class that is typically high, students struggle with a lot, we call them high DF rate classes. Not very good term, not a good way to describe a class, but there are historically difficult courses that our students take. And sometimes, typically what we see, chemistry, biology, sometimes our language classes, sometimes our human performance or health science classes, some of those kind of overlap. And so lots of great classes that are supported by supplemental instruction. If not, get a tutor. Your student will know, I guarantee your student is going to know if supplemental instruction accompanies their class. The SI leader is going to email them probably the Friday, like right before the semester starts. So at the very end of January, they're going to send out emails to your students to say, hey, I'm your SI leader. I'm going to be in your class. Let me know when you want to meet. That's all virtual as well. So your students will know if they have supplemental instruction. If they don't, then you do need to seek out tutoring if you think your student is going to need tutoring. So pharmacology, yes, Shelley, I do believe, I'm going to look right now. That pharmacology is a class that we have traditionally supported through SI, but there might be more than one section of pharmacology. So the student will need to get into the right section that has it. I'm not sure that we can offer it every single semester for every single class session. So you want to look for the CRN there to make sure, and their advisor can tell them which one that is. And I can't talk and type at the same time. So I'm sorry.
Okay, so I'll take over, Kim. Yep.
Okay. So
CRN is the course registration number. And a really good thing is that if your student is struggling with a particular class, again, having them talk with their faculty member first and foremost. A lot of times faculty are willing to meet with students one-on-one and help them with whatever content it is that they're not understanding. A lot of faculty also will have a graduate assistant that will meet with them and be willing to help them get a better understanding of the content as well. And so it's really great that you're encouraging your students, and also that your students are getting the communication about supplemental instruction, and hopefully they're able to attend. The other thing is that if your student is not able to attend supplemental instruction, our SI leaders have office hours. And so they have office hours in our Shocker Learning Center where their tutor may be in there and available to meet with them. And so making sure that they check out the Shocker Learning Center as well. And that way they can get connected with those tutors. Kim, were you able to find that? I see that Shelly said her student was already connected with the SI leader.
It's a hard class and it's got SI, and we're hopeful that it was helpful. But yeah, that is one that is traditionally difficult, and we support it. And so I think I saw when I popped over to the other screen here.
Ron, great to see you. That's my friend Ron from Dallas.
Oh, hey, Ron from Dallas.
Ron from Dallas.
Yes, so your oldest daughter is saying she probably will not have in person, but youngest said she will, both in drama. It's COVID, so anything is possible. I think it does depend on, you'd think almost that's flipped, right? You'd think that the freshman, the sophomore might have more online courses or hybrid online courses, and your senior or your junior or senior would have more in person. As they get more specific and into their major, it seems like they might have those smaller classes. Everything is dependent upon the instructor and what they're learning in the class. So if your student is able to learn easily online, then it's going to be probably online, right? Now, there are some labs in some sciences areas, not necessarily drama, which is what you're asking about, but just to illustrate the point, there are some science labs that you cannot do online. You have to be in person. So they had to restructure all of those, and those had to meet in person. But I know with a lot of our performance areas, they have not had the ability to do, big concerts and things like that. They've had to do some smaller things. They have done some virtual performances. And so they're trying to, navigate that and see what that looks like. And so I can understand how you would think that that's strange, because intuitively that would be flipped, I would think. But it's possible, right?
Sorry.
No, you're fine.
I would say, Ron, when you come pick the girls up and take them home, how about asking them, hey, let's look at the spring 2021 schedule online, because we just gave you some really good parent power right there. And you can put in the course number that the student is planning to take for spring semester, and you yourself can see if it's going to be an in-person class, a online class. Is it 80% online, or is it 20% online? Do they really need to be here or not? One might just be really homesick because they're a daddy's girl, and the other might just got her wings and is ready to fly the coop. So good luck with that, Ron.
That is really good advice, Alicia. Parents should check out that spring 2021 site as well, because the actual definition of online and in person might be left up to, they might be interpreting that a little bit differently. And what is on that website is going to be true. So if they're saying, oh, it's online, I'm sure some of it is, but it could be 70% online. It could be 25% online. It could be less than 30% online, right? So their perception of what they're telling you is kind of through their lens and their filter, which is fine. But you all have the ability to look all of that up, right? And say, well, it looks to me like 75% is in person. So have you, talked to your advisor about that? Have you talked to your instructor? The upperclassmen should really have a good idea of who their faculty are, and they should be more familiar with bringing up questions, asking questions, say, hey, really, is this 30% online, 75? What's up with this? Your freshmen, sophomores probably aren't that brave yet, but certainly they should be asking their instructors, and have them email and reach out to their spring instructors now before break, because guess what? Break happens, students go on break, faculty go on break. All right, the faculty need a break as well. And so have them reach out to them early if they have any questions about what's going to happen in a class in the spring. There's nothing wrong with emailing the instructor. Now, the instructor may not, that's not a burning question for an instructor at this point. The burning questions for instructors now are, are you going to have respondus lockdown for my online exam? Like those are the burning questions that the faculty are getting right now. Questions about spring, they need to know them before they go on break so that they can respond to you before break. But you may not get a response right away is what I'm basically trying to say, right? But we have done a lot. I just want to reassure the parents that we have done a lot to try to communicate with faculty the feedback that we've received from students about their experience this year in being remote. What does it look like? What were the great things? What were the bad things? A lot of students are actually finding out that they make really good remote learners, right? They've become really good remote learners. And so that's going to benefit them, and to help them again kind of reframe that. May not be what they expected, may not be what they wanted, but they are learning these skills that once they've graduated and they're working, most people have some kind of working from home. I'm not going to say most, because that's not true. That's not fair. But a lot of companies have, policies where people are working from home now. And so they're already going to have an extensive amount of experience with Zoom, certainly, Teams, probably, and additional online platforms. If they're doing anything in business globally, right, they're already, students didn't have these skills, not to this degree at all, before remote learning. And now they do. So it's like, oh, cool. We want to have a global project on, solving some big world problem. Awesome. Zoom. All right, great. Let me change the time zone real quick. Boom, done. I'm ready. Right. And so it's really kind of giving our students a new set of skills professionally, career competencies and things that kind of didn't exist before, but that now do, and that they'll be expected to be able to do. And so the better they can utilize all of that technology now and practice and mess up now, the better, right? Because we're trying to, again, encourage people to have some patience with both students, have patience with faculty who are doing this kind of stuff on this level for the first time, some of them, and then faculty to also have patience with the students. So there's the website just flashed. Sorry, I couldn't finish my sentence fast enough to match that. But the remote student, again, if your students have any technology problems, or maybe they were kind of mostly in person, but now they are switching to remote, that's a great website. And just a reminder about checking your tech and all of that, has some really great resources and advice on it.
All great. As you can see, Kim said, students come, I think it's November 20th or the 22nd. Students will not, once Thanksgiving break hits, students will not be returning back to campus, or we're asking them if they're going home to stay home until it's time for spring semester to return. If they live in the resident halls, they can leave their belongings in the resident halls until they return, either in January or February. But the good thing is that Kim and I are still on campus. And so if there's any questions or comments, concerns, issues, we are still here to help along the way. The other thing that I will just kind of put a shameless plug in is that if you've not already done so, if you go to wichita.edu/family, wrong one, wichita.edu/family. Kim could go ahead and come back online because we're going to probably wrap it up. But if you go to wichita.edu/Shocker Family, and we have our monthly parent family newsletter that we put out. There's a lot of this advice and other great advice and resources for parents that are in there. And so if there's something that you feel is missing, don't hesitate to give us a call, an email, shoot us a message on social media, and that way we can make sure to get that answered for you within the next edition that goes out, and that goes out the first Friday of every month. Thanks to our amazing communications coordinator, M. Cribbs. We have about 15 minutes remaining, and so wanting to make sure that we give our families some time to ask questions. If there's other questions that they have that they're just really uncertain about, these chats are really made for you. And any questions that you have, as a parent myself and Kim as well, we will be in your shoes. And so making sure that we have an intentional partnership with our parents, because we know how critical it is for us and our own students' journeys to have that relationship with the schools. And so if there's anything that we can do, just understand and know that we are on standby, ready to assist any and every step of the way. So any questions that we have that we've not covered so far?
I want to jump in here and do my own shameless plug. And it's actually a shameless plug for both of us and our awesome communications person, M, here. Good golly, I cannot type and talk at the same time. All right. I wanted to go to our website, wichita.edu/success, because Alicia and I did a number of episodes of a new kind of area that we have, ShockerSecrets, right? We call them the ShockerSecrets to Success. And this was a collection of programs just like this that it was aimed for students, especially our first gen students, but really anybody can watch them and benefit from them. And there's an entire series that you can get either by going to /ShockerSecrets or /success and then scrolling down and getting there too. But we did videos like this on technology, on syllabus and tutoring. So reading, understanding, navigating that. Time management. We did a good one on time management, classroom involvement, midterms, financial aid, academic advising. So there's a whole collection. I think there's a specific first gen finances. There's one that we just did today that'll be up there a little bit later. And that is on test anxiety and holiday stress. And we talk to your students about how, family dynamics may change a little bit. Communicate with your parents. Tell your parents if you're going to change your major. Tell your parents, if this may not be your gig. It might be your gig. Who knows? But we want them to have a conversation with you. We want you to have a conversation with them. Get all of that out in the open. If you have questions or want to talk with them, part of our talk today was encouraging them not to avoid having hard discussions. Don't avoid talking. Don't just go to your room at home and shut your door because you're avoiding what is going to be a difficult conversation. Just do it. And it's a lot easier said than done, right? They, just as like they don't want to have that conversation with you, they don't want to have a conversation with faculty. Sometimes they don't even talk about it with coaches. So we get it. Communication changes or communication is hard and relationships change. So lots of, goody things. We told them they didn't have to spend a lot of money on holiday gifts because I know a lot of our students are.
Love is all we need.
That's right. I know. I told them, make homemade gifts. Your parents will love them. So if they give you a homemade gift, y'all better be just like, oh, it's the best gift I ever got. Because we told them, we're like, you don't have to spend a lot of money on gifts. We encourage them to do family gift exchanges. Sometimes that's helpful. You don't have to buy for everybody in your family. Exchange names, and then that way, one or two, donate to a charity in someone's name. something meaningful that you don't have to break the bank on because your students don't have money. Y'all don't have more money to be giving your students to be spending. And, keeping those things in mind, again, as they are on this extended break helps. We talk to them about the value of taking time out for themselves. As much as you all want to love on your kiddos when they come home, they need some time to just be themselves.
Compress.
And just, yes, decompress from everything that's been happening. And their home should be a safe place to be, right? So they should just be able to come home and throw their books down, give you their dirty laundry, because I'm sure some of you will be getting some dirty laundry, and just chill out for a while. Give them their space. Now, you also need to hold them accountable for their actions and things while they're home, but give them that space because they're used to having, especially if you have a traditional freshman who's been living on our campus, they've got their own schedule. It might not jive with yours.
No curfew right now.
No, they're doing their thing. They're living their best life, right? During a pandemic, but you get what I'm saying. So that stuff all changes. And so that was what our talk was today. And so that'll probably be floating around social media a little bit and will be uploaded. So just, talking about all that stuff, it's exciting, but it's also can be a little stress and anxiety inducing. So just keep that in mind for your students. They'll appreciate that from you, and that'll make their time at home a little less stressful. So I'll stop. I kind of got on a little tangent there. Sorry.
ShockerSecrets to success. And so the word that we've been using a lot, particularly with students who have been in distress or just, having, a heightened amount of anxiety or just really feel like, man, like I'm not good, I'm overwhelmed, is reminding them to give themselves some grace. Yes, Ron, you are free to. I hope y'all were enjoying this. But remember, when they come home, give them some grace to, like Kim said, to de-stress, to unwind. But also, as you look at their grades for the semester, if they are historically a 4.0 student and this semester maybe they didn't reach that goal, give them some grace because this has been a year like none of us could ever have imagined. And making sure that, as long as they're okay mentally, physically, emotionally, that's the most important thing. Everything else we can help recover from. And I think that's the number one message from parent to parent that I would like to share. Is just making sure that we're extending grace when needed, because when we talk with your students behind closed doors, a lot of times when we say, have you talked to your parents about this? Make sure you bring this up in conversation with your parents. The number one thing is, I don't want to, or I don't know how to, or they're going to get really mad. And we're saying, no, your parents are going to give you grace. Ask for grace because this is something that they're struggling with. And as parents, we should meet them where they're at. And so, this has been a year, like I said, we couldn't have imagined any of it.
It hasn't even been a year. It's been like
I'm going back to March almost. But it's, but I think it's making us work differently. I'm excited that we've been able to keep campus open and have students actually in person. And so we're excited to continue to serve your students. If there's any questions, comments, concerns, issues that you have, your students have, feel free to direct them to us and just know that we're here and on standby. If there's any other questions, feel free to drop them in comments. If not, I want to thank everyone for joining us tonight. Kim, I don't know if you have any last words of wisdom.
No, I just think, it's not what we all signed up for, but it's actually given us an opportunity to connect with you all in a way that we haven't done that before. And it's been really fun. And I think we'll continue to do I hope, I want to, I don't know if Alicia wants to, but But we have a good time doing this, and we're glad we have this opportunity to be able to connect with you, because that is important. And that's one of the positives that has come from this whole thing. And new ways of doing things, better ways to connect, faster ways to connect, more types of different ways to connect. So I think we're looking forward to that, and what that actually ends up looking like, when everything is back to normal. Because I think a lot of what you and your students are experiencing, from what I'm hearing, other college campuses, our college campus, we're going to continue to be able to offer things in this way. And so we're excited about that opportunity, because we haven't done this kind of programming before. And so we're glad that you joined us tonight, and appreciate everything you've done for your students, and everything that you have done for yourselves and each other, in making sure that everyone is safe and healthy, and is having the best college experience as possible. So with that, I think we're probably ready to sign off for the evening. So thank you all for joining us so much. Excited that you are here, and we'll see you on the flip side. Thanks, everybody.